Hey guys, today we're going to take a look at the new Vaughan Camp Axe, see how it looks compared to the Estwing. Well, let's also not forget we have a sponsor this month, so let's take a look down in the description and check out B Legend. They have a 5-pack of thermal blankets and a fire starter you can get through Amazon at a pretty reasonable price. Check them out. Give them a big thanks for supporting the channel. It's a huge help, guys. And plus, you know, those of you that actually purchase these from me off the community tab, thank you. Every little bit helps, and the couple of bucks I made off them goes towards the channel. Thank you guys very much for that. Your support is going to keep this channel going in these hard times. So let's take a look. Now, Vaughan has this new camp axe out. It's a 2-pound camp axe, obviously modeled after the Estwing, Estwing. I say Estwing, everyone's always like, it's Estwing. Okay, whatever. Very, very similar, as you can see, like incredibly similar. So we're going to take a look at the differences between them and see what we got going on here. Of course, I had a yardstick set aside for this video, but I'm thinking, oh, no, I found it. I thought one of the kids stole it. It happens. They're monsters. Alright, so as you can see, I'm a disorganized mess. Size and shape, these things are about dead on. As far as length, they are virtually identical. As far as width of the head, they are virtually identical. Handle size, length of the handle, all that. The only major difference you're going to see is that the Estwing does have, what is that, an extra ½ inch to a 3/4 inch of cutting length on the blade. So we're going to try and show you this a little better. Line these up. There, now you can see the difference between them. You can see that cutting edge is a little different geometry there as well. So, but as far as thickness of the heads, very, very similar. Poles are pretty much identical. The Vaughan has a slightly thicker handle, but that's not too big an issue. I haven't known anyone who's really messed up one of these Estwings yet. Alright, so the size is relatively similar. Shape is relatively similar. Estwing comes with the sheath, which that's a big plus considering the price is about the same as well. So that sheath is a big addition in value. Now, if you buy the Vaughan, you know, you can buy these on eBay for like $5. So you can definitely get one of these for your Vaughan for very cheaply, and it does fit. Let's do weight. I do have my scale out for some other videos. Oops. It's going to be kind of tough to do, but hopefully this will accurately. So we have 2.14, and it may not be accurate because we're hanging this off, but at least it'll give you a comparative. 2.11, so almost identical in weight as well. Materials. Let's talk about that for a second. Now, Estwing, made overseas, probably China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, who knows. Made of a, it is a carbon steel, and you can tell a lot of people say it's a really cheap steel. Well, it is a very soft steel, I'll tell you that. But you can see the steel is actually developing a patina under the lacquer. Now, I pulled the lacquer back, you know, obviously for sharpening, and you can see where the it's starting to patina. And so it is definitely a carbon steel because we are seeing that patina. That's another thing that sucks about these is you definitely want to strip that lacquer off. I leave it on because I really don't care. I've just pulled it back on the sharpening edge. But you can see you're going to get rust under the lacquer, which is normal. But that is a relatively soft carbon steel. It sharpens very, very easy, guys. It's not anything too crazy. Vaughan! Made in the good old US of A, as stated on the handle in an American flag. Vaughan typically uses 1090 carbon steel in their tools. I know that because I contacted them back when I bought this back in the day and asked them about the steel, and they said they use 1090 for their hatchets. I'm assuming it's the same for this. It's probably a much better steel, made in the USA. So, pretty cool. Now let's look at some of the finer details of this real quick and we'll get you out of here. So the Vaughan when you look at the back, the chamfering on the pole is a little uneven. You can tell whoever did that probably had a few drinks that day. Sharpness is essentially 0 out of the box. These are kind of meant that way. They are a mass-produced item. They don't want them super sharp because these are going to be clinking around Home Depot, and they don't want people losing a toe. So these are going to come unsharp, and you're going to have to sharpen it. You can see the grind on this. This is a convex edge, a very nicely convex edge, versus the Estwing, which actually has a bevel to it. So you can see there's a bevel, and it comes to the point. Now this here is actually, you can hear, is relatively sharp because I've sharpened it. This one here is not. It's got a huge burr on it, but that profile is, oops, sorry guys, the profile is much thinner. So the edge geometry on this is much thinner. It will probably make a much better chopper than the Estwing that has this thicker stock to it and that stronger bevel. So that is one thing to note. Handles, as we mentioned, the gotta make sure I'm on frame here. This Vaughan is a little thicker, but you can also see that there's some definite issues with geometry just by looking at it. Some areas that aren't as thin or as thick. Obviously, they're I'm assuming casting or whatever they do in the forging process. If it's forged, is not the most symmetrical. Estwing is a little more symmetrical. Maybe that's because it's been around a while and they've perfected it. But yeah, that is to note. Not a big deal. Painted versus just lacquered on the one. Handles are very similar. They're both a coated rubberized material. The Vaughan is very stiff and rigid, whereas the Estwing is kind of squishy. So a little bit of a difference there with that. Of course, you have lanyard hole in the Estwing and not in the Vaughan. Okay, so not a, like functionality wise, these are probably going to be very similar. You're probably going to see very similar performance and very similar characteristics out of both of these guys. Now for me, looking at these, I can't wait to get this Vaughan out to try it and see how it works. I'm very curious to see how this edge is going to work because it is a nice thin edge to it. So I'm really excited about this as a new tool and very excited to use it. And to the guys who bought these, I hope you guys are super happy with them. But yeah, so I really, really hope this is cool. This works out to be a good product. So just a quick comparison, guys. You can see how just drastically similar they are. Last thing we're going to talk about is hand feel and balance. Now you can see there's a little bit of a curve to the Estwing. The Vaughan is completely 100% straight. Now we got to zoom out again. Now, balance-wise, oops, that's good for them. The Estwing definitely has a little more forward balance. You can feel like it pulls your hand a little more, and that's just a result of the handle being slightly curved. It just gives you that little kind of forward feel to it because you're holding it in a way. If you're holding it down there, if you're holding it up here, it's not so much. But when you do hold it down by the bottom, you know, it just has that kind of angled and that kind of just gives it that little bit of forward weight to it. The balance point is, you know, way up here. So it is fairly nicely balanced. The Estwing, on the other hand, its balance point is very similar, but it doesn't have that forward feel. Even though they are the same weight, there's more weight in the handle than there is in the head. As you can see, the head is a little bit, you know, like a little bit thinner and not so much meat on the head, but there's more meat in the handle. So this, to me, is a little lighter feeling in the hand. I can, you know, like I hold this way down by the end like this, and it just, you know, if I hold the two in two different hands, the Estwing feels like it wants to go. The Vaughan's kind of like, meh, I'm happy right here. So there is a little bit difference in the ergonomics, and that Estwing just kind of feels a little more ready to swing. Not that the Vaughan feels uncomfortable, but that kind of lack of a palm swell, you know, makes me a little worried because I could definitely see that thing slipping out of your hand if it were wet, where you could really lock down that Estwing with that big old palm swell. So some good differences there, guys. Price the same, quality. You know, I'd go with the USA any day. So there you guys have it. A quick comparison. We'll do our review on the Vaughan once I get it out there.